I've got everything measured out, and I've actually checked my angle here. It's within 1/10 of a degree from side to side here. Yeah, I've put some blocks in and I screwed them in because I'm on top of a marble table. I found out the hard way. Screws don't go into marble very well, so I'm driving them in part way, but I think that ought to be enough. This is just a safety here to keep it from going too far out of whack. I've got 21 inches outside to outside, and then 17 inches outside to outside. And I've got a imaginary center line that's 13 and a half inches off of the edge over here. And this is I don't know, what is it, 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch plywood, and it's been very dimensionally stable. I think I got this in October, I want to say. I've had no issues, so. Okay. So yeah, with that locked into place, clamped, and horizontally clamped effectively, we can trace this on the wood and start laying out exactly. I'm gonna have to go grab my axle from down here, drop that on here, and then double check the width, because I want that rear bar to be as far back, as close to the rear axle as possible. And then I already did the math to figure out this is where my axle's gonna be, here and here. So I think yeah, that's all for now. Next up, measure and cut some steel. Okay, cross members are cut, and now I need to shape them and get them to fit in their designated slot there. I've got them marked out, and this one I think is pretty close to ideal already. Okay, a little more progress here. These are cut out. Done a good job of labeling, well, in theory. And that helps a lot because you're shaping a three-dimensional object, and this tubing is not perfectly square coming out of the factory. There we go. So there we go. That looks pretty good. There's a little bit of gap there, but not too much. There's no gap really at all there. We've got maybe, I don't know, I'd say 1/2 millimeter. I've got 1.5 millimeter there. Hard to see in there, but no gap over there. So that should be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Then over here, this one got cut out pretty good. I've just, how did I do this? Basically, I set it across here, and then I used the square with the flat side here against the 1x3 frame rail, and anything that was on the far side I just marked with the Sharpie, and then I've been grinding that off. So I've got just, 1/2 millimeter there, 1/2 millimeter. All right, so not a whole lot more work. I kind of went crazy right here. I think I've got, gosh, it's hard to tell, 1 millimeter. Yeah, maybe 3 millimeters in the bad spot there. But otherwise, looks pretty good. Not perfect, but as they say, it's a Cyclekart. So, yep, just weld that in, and then I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do here. I've got the profile of the arch here, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and cut it on both sides here. But I think what I want to do as well is I'm going to grab one of these templates here, and that I really like that curve. I'm going to try and preserve that. And I'm going to apply it here and here because although it mostly just ties the front rails together, it is, your steering goes through here. And until the superstructure gets attached, this is a pretty critical component. So I think I'm gonna curve it down. I don't know, leave a probably 6-inch chunk in the middle, and then figure out how to apply one of those curves to here and get 6 inches in the middle. But that's a tomorrow me problem. I also need to learn how to weld. Okay, did some shaping here. I decided to leave 3 inches here in the middle on both sides to leave the box section intact and give it some dimensional stability, because I'm not used to welding, but seems to match up good. Kind of looks neat. It looks finished, and there's a little bit of a decorative flourish to go with the rest of the curvature. I ended up using from here to here, which kind of follows the same curve. And I can always go back and remove more. But this will preserve the stability for welding. I don't have to worry about holding that up with magnets or anything crazy. All right, first test weld. Last time I welded, I was 16 on a stick welder, 220 volt. We'll see how this goes. Okay, that looks, well, I mean, literally the very first start it got stuck, but that's not a terrible start. They recommend that you move any flammable fuel or oil out of the area, and I was like, oh no, this is fine. Like, it's all clean. And what do I have sitting, like, literally right here? I just moved one of them. 10 gallons of gasoline, like, literally right there. So double check your work area. There's also 6 gallons in there, so I need to move some things around before I continue. So safety first. All right, working on some practice welds. That's looking a little bit better, I think. Okay, made about, 18 inches of very ugly welds, but we're gonna cut this open and see what my penetration looks like for the weld. Okay, I cut the weld in half. These are some ugly welds. It's worth a weld. That looks like pretty good penetration overall. I'm not unhappy with that. I don't like that little tiny void there, but looks like I've got adequate penetration there. Okay, day 2 of working on welds. I've got my cleanup procedure a little bit better. I'm hitting with a wire brush pretty much immediately after. Still have some BBs attached, but that's not too crazy. I think on this side I actually did it twice. I went over it, I ground it down, and then I went over it a second time. Maybe that's why this one's blue. Anyways, yeah, it's starting to come together. Doesn't look amazing, but I think it's pretty passable. And then my penetration looks great. I mean, so I'm gonna keep going at that for a little bit longer, but I'm pretty close to having the confidence to go glue this thing together, or at least tack it together. So good start. That's starting to look better. Yep, so I have welded, brushed, ground cut, welded, brushed, ground cut this thing enough times that I am getting consistent results for 16 gauge. Saying here with a 30.030, we should be at 4, and then C to C.5. So just under 4 and just under C.5 seems to be working out okay. I'm gonna start prepping the metal. What I found is cleaning the surface, getting down to that shiny metal. I know everyone says it, but it's really critical. It makes a huge difference in the quality of the weld. So yeah, I'm gonna pull these guys out and make them nice and shiny on the ends. Gonna try and clean up the edges here a little bit, pop them back in, and get a tack weld in. All right, these are nice and shiny. They're freshly ground. We'll go ahead and clean up the edges here and here. Just drop that guy right in. Nice and shiny, fresh weld surface, ready to go. And we'll get this guy next. Okay, I've officially run out of excuses not to weld. My gloves. Okay. Keep going. And we'll call that tacked. Alright, well, I'm going to let that cool down and see how we did. So, predictably, some of the welds have come out pretty well. Pretty happy with that. Others, not so much. Actually, that one's okay. That is awful. Yeah. This first tack looks great, as does this one. But then on this side, could use some work. So this is just round one. Just want to make sure that as the metal expands and contracts, it is initially square as I want it. And then okay. I think we've got it tacked in place enough. I'm gonna have to come back in and regrind some of these guys. I will take it out of the clamps here, and why don't we just do this live? Actually, okay. And so far so good. Take my ground clamp off. Take my real clamp. And clamp number 4. Okay, well, it didn't twist or anything, so that's promising. Hey, that looks pretty good. There we go. Yeah. All right. That is sitting flat. That's great. Oh wow, look at you. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Starting point. All right, I am gonna call it quits here and call that a celebration. I need to cut this back down, and then I need to, the underside of these is open. So I'm gonna have to fill that in. And then the engine mounting is gonna have to happen as well after I finish my welds here. All right, one more thing. So here we've got the frame rail, and then I've got this big curve here. I'd say it goes almost 2/3 of the way up. And I've also got a nice edge there. And the plan is to take this 1-inch plate, and it'll go in sort of like that. I'm gonna have to cut this out when I'm ready, and then bend some of this stuff and weld it on to meet it. And then as well, this guy is gonna get some 2 or 3-dimensionally welded piece in here. So that'll be exciting. But boxing that up will give it a ton more strength. And yeah, I have a straight 3-dimensional frame as of today. What is it, January 20th, 2023? Huge achievement. It's all uphill from here still. Thanks.